Hello, I'm Chief Max Guerin of the Rockwall Police Department. First of all, I want to say thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for inviting us to partner with them on their KEYS program, the Keeping Yourself Educated series. Detective Steve Tiger and Jalinda Page are here today. They're going to talk about safety in the workplace and give you some insight into how we investigate crimes and how you can be safe and prevent those crimes. I'm also excited to announce that in the coming months we'll be rolling out our business police academy. You may have heard of our Citizens Police Academy, where we have citizens come in each week for 6 weeks and learn directly from our police officers how we do our jobs, talk about the structure and the things that go into police work, and give you a better sense of how your police department is responsive to you. And so we're going to shorten that and roll that out in a business format, specifically for business managers and owners to expound on some of the things that you're going to hear about today. We are also in the process of putting together business crime watches and safety groups, conglomerations of owners and managers that are located in similar shopping centers, so that you all can get to know one another and we can present you with crime information and share information with each of you. But it's all part of our focus in the coming years on protecting Rockwall businesses as the cornerstone of our city, and being transparent and pushing out information as quickly and as effectively as we can. So I want to say thank you to Sergeant Brazel and his team as well. Sergeant Steve Brazel is the contact person should you want more information on either our Business Police Academy or setting up a business crime watch. He'll also be reaching out to local businesses. He can be reached by his phone number at 972-772-6727 or sbrazzle, that's SBRASSIL, at rockwall.com. If you want more information about that, get a hold of him and he'll be glad to send that out to you. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Detective Steve Tiger. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to holler. Thank you all for being here and for watching.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Steve.
Detective Steve Tiger, the Rockwall Police Department. Been with Rockwall for 25 years now. Myself and Detective Page in the back, what we do is we work mostly fraud and forgery. That handles everything from credit cards to checks to scams and things like that. And Sergeant Brazel had asked us to come up and talk to the Chamber today, and we kind of geared this toward business owners. We're kind of looking for some of the things, especially during the holiday season. But a lot of these tips and things that we're looking at, you can, every day is something that you need to be aware of because of the, just the nature, economies, things like that, play a big part in getting a lot of our crime for our businesses. A few of the things that we just made some notes to talk about. Number one, first and foremost, is shoplifters. Everybody, I think, has dealt with the shoplifters, or if you're a business owner, you've had some kind of loss. There's a few things that you can do to kind of help maybe mitigate some of it anyway. And probably the biggest thing that we see that works the best as a deterrent is just greeting your customer, talking to your customer, making eye contact with your customer when they come in. Hi, how you doing? Can I help you? Looking for something in particular? Because the minute you make that personal contact, it kind of changes something a little bit up as far as, well, I'm not stealing from somebody I don't know. Now I know this person, whether it's just a quick contact. And then check on them every so often in the store. Just walking up down the aisle, just, hey, how you doing? I can help you find something. It'll do wonders as far as reducing some of that shrinkage and losses. Bad part about it right now, or the harder part, is everybody's behind a mask right now. So that's, again, that's a little bit of a tricky deal. If for whatever reason, that people behind a mask, they think they're anonymous, and right now they are, and that's the bad part about it, even with a lot of the surveillance systems that we've got out there. So, for whatever reason, if they decide to take their mask down, that's a little bit better for us in the long run. Watch charge for folks, you know, coming in, just the basic, big bulky clothes, carrying bags, things like that. I'm not saying that everybody that has somebody's at my front door. Not everybody that wears, you know, big bulky clothes and coats and carries bags are gonna, you know, are shoplifters, but again, just be aware of what people are wearing, you know, pay attention to the people when they come in. One of the things that we see a lot, especially this time of year, credit card fraud. Lots of credit cards. These are stolen cards. These are cards that they have stolen the information, maybe embossed or encoded into just some other kind of a credit card. That's what we see a lot. People that are using gift cards like the green dots and things like that, and they go up and they swipe them. What we're finding a lot of times is the information that's on that green dot card is not from Green Dot. It's actually from a stolen identity from a card skimmer at a gas pump or something like that, where you put your card in the gas pump. The crooks have actually put a device on the pump inside. It captures all the magnetic information or the information on the magnetic strip, and then they just transfer that to a piece of plastic. It could be anything, a hotel, motel room key, things like that. Blank gift cards like the green dots. And they're using those as credit cards. They just go up and run them, and nobody ever knows the difference because it looks like a gift card. If you have clerks, especially your younger clerks, are going to be more targeted by some of these people that are doing this for a living. You'll see, and we get them on video a lot, where a store will call, you know, a month, 6 weeks later when they've got their chargebacks, and they say, hey, we've got all these chargebacks that was on this particular transaction, where chargeback was a stolen credit card or something like that. And we go back and watch the video together, and what we see is the suspect running a credit card. Doesn't work. There's another one. Run that one. Doesn't work. And no kidding, we've seen them go through as many as 6 or 7 cards before one actually works, and then the transaction goes through. Well, those were other stolen credit cards. They just had been shut off, and the guy didn't know it, or the girl didn't know it. But the clerk sitting there watching them, just instead of, you know, after about 2, you know, call the manager, let your employees know that it's okay to contact you, to say, hey, you know, something's going on with this. They're running an awful lot of cards. We see that a bunch. Something else that we see is when people are using credit cards or even checks, writing checks, things like that, for whatever reason as a society, we've gotten out of the habit of asking people for their ID. We just don't do it anymore. We've got a credit card, and you know, especially if it's a large purchase, you know, big purchases, there's nothing wrong with asking that customer, can I see your ID? Just to match it to the credit card. They may have stolen the ID too, but at least there's something there that you can look at, because you'll be surprised at how many of them just have the stolen credit card. They don't have the IDs. They haven't gone to that extreme yet to you know, match IDs, but they are doing it now. They are making counterfeit IDs as well. But for whatever reason, you know, and I understand you don't want to put the customer out, you know, or make it any inconvenient, but the problem is you'd be surprised at how many of your customers actually are like, I'm glad you did that, you know, because nobody does it anymore. You know, so, and then again, you're going to have some that are going to say that, you know, well, that's why I've got a credit card, I don't have to show you this. Well, if you've taken a big loss, or your business is taking a big loss, I mean, it's a protection for you, and you're totally okay to ask for it. But for whatever reason, a lot of companies, a lot of people won't do it. And I think we're just getting to kind of that point now that, you know, the face-to-face contact, we don't have it anymore. So people are afraid to talk to people. They're afraid to ask them, hey, can I see your driver's license? Can I see your ID? Yes, sir.
Have you seen a big step up with the self-checkouts?
Yes. That's the big thing too, and that's where we see a lot, especially in some of the larger stores, where they have their own self-checkouts, and that's where they're using it a lot, because nobody's watching them.
Right.
You know, nobody's watching what's going on. And again, that kind of goes back to that shoplifter deal and talking to your customers, watching what they're doing. You know, if you see somebody over there and they're running a card, and then the next thing they got another card, they're buying another gift card, just over and over. The number one item that they're buying is gift cards. They're gonna be buying gift cards. They're gonna be $100 or $200 or $500 increments. They're not gonna get, 15 or 20. They're going for 100, 200 a pop. And they'll usually try to buy multiples. Maybe 2 of them at a time, 3 at a time. They'll just try it just to see what's gonna work, because they don't really know what the limit is on that card.
Right.
So they just they might test the water with one, and the next time they come back, they get 2 more. Or if you've got people, 2 or 3 people together, and they're all buying gift cards, something's up, because I don't know how many, I don't ever take my friends to go buy gift cards. We don't all have money, so, to be able to buy 2 or 3 gift cards at a time. That's usually it's a big telltale. We see that a bunch.
How about on the question, on
Yes,
the,
sir.
on the checks? So, my business, we can get $5,000, $8,000, dollar checks for the work that we do. And I'm scared to death.
Oh, yeah, you bet.
So how do you, what can I do to try to?
Lessen your odds of getting a bad one?
Yeah.
Contact. Are these business checks that you're taking, or are these individual?
Business checks I don't worry as much about,
Right.
I'm naive on that, but it's more the personal checks. Now, a lot of, normally it's $1,000, $2,000, $3,000-ish dollars on that, but sometimes it's 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, back in the day, you could contact the bank and verify funds. Some banks may still let you do that. Some of your smaller banks, maybe local stuff. Today, it's really hard, and I can tell you, just the thing is on that check, if you take that check and there's no way to really verify it, because you really can't, basically just hope for the best, so to speak. If you can't verify funds, if it's a company check, you can contact, their accounts payable, and they'll tell you, yeah, it's a good check, no good, or whatever. Whoever you take it from, like I say, is get really good ID on them. Drivers, like what they're driving, the tag number.
Well, you made me think about,
That
you
kind of
talked
stuff.
about asking for the driver's license, because I remember
Sure.
back in the day, when, I don't really write any checks anymore, but, they would take and write your date of birth and your driver's license and stuff on there. Does that have any impact or any?
Well, on a good check, on a good person, it does. Yeah, on a
Yeah.
bad one, and somebody that's forging it, no, because the number, normally, that number, they've already written it on the check. I've already helped you out, I've already put that number down, and they've made up a number. Or it's a number off of a stolen driver's license. But what they don't look at, or don't change most of the time, is gonna be their license plate numbers. Because they're gonna do the same car. Even if they're using a stolen driver's license and put their picture on it, which is what they'll do, the car tags, they usually leave the same. At least it's something.
I'm in the automotive business, so we get the VIN,
There
we
you go.
get the license plate, because we're working on that car, right? So that's
Yeah.
probably my best angle, to go look up registration, hopefully
Sure.
it's not a stolen car.
Sure. Get it,
as
yeah,
well.
it is, and get whatever you can from that person. Ask for a couple of phone numbers, maybe, just that, or just whatever you can do to help. You have to think of it, if I had to go try to find this person later on down the way, or down the road, how would I do it? What am I gonna need to try to do that? Good name, good address, maybe their business, phone number, cell number, something, anything you can get, especially on the higher end, higher dollar checks, especially. There you go, last four social, something like that. You just have to kinda, do whatever.
Because we get, number one, we have a vehicle,
Uh-huh.
so they have a tangible asset they need to come back for, but we get
Right.
name, we ask for and get, whether they're giving us the right information, but name, address, like, physical address,
Mhm.
email address, phone number, because we have to communicate with them to
Sure.
tell them, come pick up the vehicle.
Right.
Right? And then pictures of the van and stuff, so it sounds like we're probably already doing
You
about as
pretty,
much as
you
we
pretty
can.
much are, and the only other thing too, though, you might add, is I don't know if your business, if you have security cameras,
We do.
footage, and we're gonna talk about those in just a second. That's a big thing right there, because even if we get, and we've actually caught folks that we don't know who they are, when we get a video from a store, we have no idea who this person is, but they do on TV, they say, oh yeah, I've got videos, we got it. Well, we got a picture of somebody we don't know.
And hope it's clear.
And hope it's clear, exactly. So the better quality photos that we can get, we actually share those with other local agencies throughout North Texas. And the guys that's doing it, he's breaking into cars out here, he's doing the same thing over in Rowlett or Richardson or Garland or whatever. Somebody's ran across him. And we put photos out constantly. You'd be surprised at how many, yeah, that's over so-and-so, we arrested him out here 2 months ago. And you'll be able to go back and clear a bunch of cases for a lot of agencies. Video is the number one. And then we'll talk about that in just a second, kind of what we need in the video. Something else we see that's really been prevalent here in the last few months is distraction thieves. They've always been around, but they're really starting to get pretty prevalent right now, especially around the downtown businesses, smaller shops, clothing shops, antiques, things like that, where you have maybe one person that's working the store. And what they'll do, they'll come in, there'll be usually 2 females. Most of the time it's 2 females, maybe 3. One of them will engage the clerk, they'll start talking, the other one says, you have a restroom, I need to run to the restroom. They go to the back, and what's in the back room? The employee's purse, or your purses, things like that. And that's what we're finding, we're seeing that up front. And they've been hitting us over the last couple of months pretty good. Caught one girl, turns out she's 16 years old, but she's working with some adults. You look at her and you think, this is a lady or a young lady. She's 16, man, she is killing us. Or was. Got her caught now, but that's what she was doing. She would get asked to go to the restroom or whatever. That's in the back. And then while the other one's still talking to the clerk, she's back there going through the purse, and they're stealing wallets. If you have that kind of setup, if you've got a business like that, and you have, like, especially ladies, you have purses, things like that, get a locker system. A locker and bolt it to the wall and use locks on it, versus just shutting it and leaving it. They're still under it. But that's the big thing. Don't put purses, don't put your goods under the front counter, or any place, an unlocked office in the back. And just be aware when they come in, they're going to try to distract you, try to divide your attention. They do the same thing in stores with elderly people. We had a lot of those. 2 people who come in. One says, can you tell me where this item is, or have you ever used this? And while they're turning their back, the other one's over here getting the purse out of the basket, or just taking the wallet out of the purse and leaving the purse. So. Customers talk about that. Be leery if you have a retail business. People just standing around for no apparent reason. A couple people come in just kind of milling around, not really. You can tell the ones that are shopping or looking, and the ones that are just doing something else. That kind of goes back to, hey, can I help you? Find something and kind of show them that something's going on. 9 out of 10 times they'll leave. The video, we were talking about that. The big thing that we see about video is most of the stores either, number one, don't have it, or number 2, what they have is not operational. It went down 2 months ago. We said fixed it, or that's just a dummy camera. Or we got it, but we don't know how to operate it. That's another thing that we see. We have an offense, have a good offense, and we get out there to get the video, and nobody knows how to operate. We've actually had business owners have to call the company. I don't know how to operate it. They just came in and set it up, turned it on for them, and left it. Is it recording, or is it just on a loop, or a live feed, so to speak? The biggest thing we're using nowadays that we're finding really helps us out a lot is the Ring cameras on your front door. Because if you didn't capture it, your neighbor probably did. So we see that. If you do use cameras, make sure that, again, they're operational, somebody knows how to operate them, and that they're pointed in the right direction. That they're actually doing something versus just being up there and kind of looking good. I mean, you think of all these bigger businesses that we've got, and they've got millions of dollars invested in these stores, and they've got great cameras, and they're all pointed straight down. They're looking at the register because most of the camera systems are set up for employee theft. They're not so much for customers, but employee theft. So they're watching registers, and they're pointing straight down. So I've got great video of people stealing them blind, and all I see is the top of their head, and their hands. I never see their face. So if you got cameras, make sure they're installed correctly. Instead of having them up in the corner, have them about halfway down when you get versus something that's distorted looking down or looking up. Because on those good camera systems and on the good photos, we've actually got some other tools that we use. It's called facial recognition, and it does work, but we have to have some good photos. So like I said, you got those, make sure that they work, they're pointed the right direction, whole 9 yards. A couple other things real quick. And if y'all have any questions, well, just throw them out there. The camera systems, people think about, just shoplifting and things like that, and they think about cameras, and man, they're expensive. And we don't really need them. We don't have a problem. Well, the thing is, though, it only takes one. Shoplifter might not be that important to you, so to speak, or that big of a concern, but think about the thing, if it turns into a robbery, or you have somebody that actually comes in with a gun and robs your business or whatever, you're going to want the best stuff that you've got to be able to try to catch them, because that is a dangerous individual right there. Or they come in and rob one of your employees, and we go in there and think, man, we got this guy. We got cameras and videos and all this. We find out it's a dummy camera. It doesn't work. It's pointed at the ceiling or stuff like that. So, it does happen. It can happen. A shoplifting can turn into a robbery real quick by what that shoplifter does. If you're, we get a lot of those too, where a clerk may try to confront somebody for shoplifting. The next thing you know, clerk gets stoned to the ground or punched or cut or whatever. That just took that little misdemeanor theft or Class C or Class B shoplift into a felony, turned into a robbery, especially if they get hurt. We had several where they're targeting older people. They're trying to grab their purse and throw them to the ground. Turns it's straight up robbery. They don't have to use a gun. One thing to die. Do it.
So that happened to me. They stole my purse, threw me to the ground.
Exactly. See,
One of those old folks.
It happens. If you have a business that that carries a lot of expensive items, or higher end stuff, a lot of the stores now are they're using trackers on a lot of that property. So, think of all the cell phones, the AT&Ts, and Verizons, and all these places. They have trackers actually in boxes because they know those items are going to be stolen or can be stolen. Perfume, some of the other the makeup places, high-end perfume, they're putting trackers in some of this stuff in hopes that if it gets stolen, they can actually track it. Actually, 3 weeks ago, I guess it was, one of the telephone stores in Greenville, guys went in there, and it turned out to be a robbery. They took a ton of stuff. They also got a tracker, tracked them all the way to Rockwall, car chase, whole 9 yards. They got caught out off of 190, but they've been hitting the Metroplex. They've been all over the place. They weren't even local. They were coming out of Dallas, Fort Worth area. Phone scams, getting a lot of those. Targeting businesses. Be aware of suspicious calls, especially your younger employees. I've worked a couple of these already, where the young employee, usually in the night shift or later in the evening, is going to get a phone call. Are you the manager on duty or assistant manager on duty? No, I'm not. In the back, okay, what's your name? Bobby, you're who I need to talk to. We're working an investigation on your manager for stealing money or whatever. What we're trying to do, I need to know exactly how much money you have in your store, divide it up, do crazy stuff, take money out, go deposit it over here, move money, put it in a sack out front, all kinds of stuff. And these people are doing it, and it's a scam. But I had one just the other day, and it was a younger employee, and whoever was on the other line knew enough to kind of make it sound good anyway. I don't know if they'd ever worked for this company before or whatever, but they actually had this kid count the money down in the safe, leave X number of dollars in the safe, take the rest of it, and go and deposit it. Actually gave them a deposit number and went deposit. And he took his girlfriend. I mean, he wanted a witness. He said, "That's not me, right? I don't want to do it anyway."
Yeah.
He did. And I was about 17 years old, I worked for Safeway. I don't know if you remember Safeway many years ago. One of the guys in the front, he was a manager, night shift, got called, "We got a bomb in your store. If you don't put your money in a bag and put it out front, we're gonna set off the bomb." What's he do? He puts all the money in the bag, sets it out front, and then calls the manager. The manager says, "Go get that, it's a scam." Yeah, it was too late, it's already gone. So, but they're targeting, they're starting to use the phone now. Did anybody work with a business that wires money, moves money, something like that, like Walmart, things like that, through offices, things like that? We see a lot of those, where, especially elderly people are being the target of a scam, and they're told to wire money, for one reason or another. So a lot of the stores are starting to watch that if they see, especially banks too, if they see some of the customers coming, making just strange amounts, trying to wire money, things like that. They might ask them, is something going on? And try to help them out to let them know, because a lot of folks don't know they're being scammed until after they're being scammed. So, watching out for some of the elderly folks, and customers and things like that. We're just seeing a few, we see a lot of them with residential computers, home computers, where they get a phone call. This is with AT&T, security, or with Microsoft, and we've noticed there's a problem with your computer. We need to run some tests. Can you log in? And people will log in, and then basically they take over the computer, hold it hostage. Again, we see a lot of the elderly people fall prey to that, and it's costing them thousands and thousands. And they're when you talk to them, they say, "Yeah, they told me to go buy Green Dot gift cards or Amazon gift cards or iTunes gift cards," and give them the number, and they're going to help me get my money back and get my computer running, and they're scamming them. But they'll also do that with a business. So your employees do, if they, depending on what kind of system you use at your point of sale, so you don't get ransomware or malware or something like that. But they'll do the same thing. They'll target a business, but the business, what they're trying to get is the card information, customer database, customer information, credit cards, things like that, numbers. But in the banking business, no chance. There's one, and I don't know if anybody's heard this, but it's called Jugging. It's an offense that happens where you've got people actually sit out in front of the banks, and this is happening. Keep this in mind as business owners, or making bank runs, even going to the bank by yourself, just in your own personal business. But there's groups out there. We call them in Rockwall, Garland, Dallas, Fort Worth, wherever you think it's called Jugging. Basically what it is, it'll be a couple of guys or girls, or guy and girl, or whoever, sitting out in front of a bank parking lot. And they're just sitting there and they're watching the front door, they're watching people coming and going. That's all they're doing, just back and forth, back and forth. And they're gonna watch, and they're gonna wait for that person to go in the bank and come back out carrying a money envelope, or carrying a money bag, a bank bag, or something that's gonna tip them off that they just made a withdrawal. They'll go to their car, the customer drives off, these folks follow. Doesn't care, no matter how far they have to go, they know sooner or later that customer is gonna stop. They're gonna go to their house, they're gonna go to a restaurant, they're gonna go to a gas station, they're gonna do something. And you'd be surprised at how many people leave that money bag or that envelope in the car. And these crooks know it. They wait for you to get out, break into your car, look for the bag. Sometimes they get them, sometimes they don't. Maybe you took it with you, but they're gonna take the chance that you left it in there because they got nothing to lose. We have lost thousands and thousands of dollars from people going in and making withdrawals. I had one just last week. Actually, our guys caught a bank, a local bank, actually saw these folks backed in their parking lot in a handicap spot. They're backed in facing the bank, just sitting there. You couldn't even see in the car because they had the windows were so dark. They tinted the front window. Two guys sitting there watching. Both of them are ex-convicts. One of them just got out of the penitentiary not too awful long ago. they're watching the front door, they see a lady leave. Well, they didn't get anything. The bank, somebody actually saw them and called in and said, there's something wrong. This darked out car is just out here running. Our guys get up there, they play a little cat and mouse, finally get them hemmed up. And that's exactly what they were doing. They were getting ready to hit one. We listened to just kind of listening to some of their jail calls, conversations, things like that. They already had a victim picked out. They were waiting on that victim to come out when the officers pulled up and kind of spooked them off. But we actually tied them back to a pretty good offense. We know they did, we just can't prove it, over in Richardson where they had, because they had money, rolls of coins in the car from bank rolls. We put it out. Anybody had any jugging incidents? Richardson PD calls it actually deal. We had an employee of a business was sent to the business to go pick up some change for the day. Nickels, dimes, quarters, pennies, that kind of stuff. Left the bank, she stopped, grabbed something to eat, went in, came back out, the car broke into, money bag's gone. We found some of the change, but it didn't say, what bank it came from or what business, but we know that they were the ones because you can tell just some of the other things that, and it happened so quick. It was within, an hour and 15 minutes of our, let's find them over here. So they'll do it for you if you send your employees out to go get cash, but also just if you're in your own personal lives going to the bank, be especially aware of your surroundings when you leave the bank. Put the envelope, hide it, take it with you when you go in the store. We've got a lot of folks where they've stopped to pick up money to go buy a car, $4,000, $5,000, used car, something like that. And they got the money bag or it's sticking in their pocket. See the top of it out. And they'll just follow you. They'll just wait till you leave, or wait till you leave your car. Take a shot at it. Might be in there, might not. If it's not, no big deal. If it is, we just hit a home run. But that is, we've seen that. It kind of originated out of Houston, but it's moved up everywhere. Houston's where they had a big problem at a few years ago. Now it's all over the Metroplex, all the way through here. I'm forgetting.
Just the scam, the lottery scams, you won the lottery, you need to pay the taxes on.
Yeah, you see a lot of that again with the scam, like you talk about the scams where you've won this, the old adage, nothing in this world is for free. We understand that, but there's still people that fall for these scams, and I'm not saying that it's just, it happens. I mean, these guys are good. I mean, they are very good, and it's not happening to always the elderly people or young kids that don't know. I mean, we're getting scammed, we're getting reports from people that are, highly educated, of scams that are being pulled on, and before you know it, you're a victim. So just have to be careful. Like I said, that's what we try to tell people. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. No matter how good it sounds and how much you think you checked it out, check it out a little bit more just to make sure. And a lot of the scams can be found just by Google search. You'd be surprised, this phone number, and you Google and you find out, it's reported in 4 or 5 different scams. Or is this company, this company said they do this, and you Google them, find out, no, company's a scam, that kind of stuff. But a lot of people, they find that out after the fact. And they go back and back. Anybody have any questions on anything or any kind of? This was pretty short, didn't have, but there's a lot of stuff in there. I mean, we see these every day. It's the amount of fraud and theft it's going up. They say it's a victimless crime. Well, it's a victimless crime because you don't have to look at the person you're stealing from. With the checks, business checks or personal checks, creating checks.
Did you see our petty crimes drop when Dallas County said that they weren't gonna prosecute anything under 750?
Did ours drop?
Yeah, I'm just curious.
No, not really.
If I was, I guess crooks aren't smarter, they wouldn't be crooks, but I would much rather steal something for $500 in Dallas County than in Rockwall.
Yeah, well, it's funny too, because when we would arrest them out here, we didn't care, we're gonna take you to jail, you
Yeah.
steal, you're going to jail, it's
Yep.
still an offense. And they say, well, you can't do that, you know, it's under 700, well, wrong, you know, I'm sorry.
Kendall was supposed to put up a billboard. Yeah, we
Yeah.
prosecute under
There
750,
you
go back
go,
to Dallas
that'd be
County.
great. That'd be great, you know, it's funny because you talk to some of these folks where, different cities have different, or they're different enforcement action, different tolerances, what they're gonna enforce and what they're not. You know, some cities say, you know, if it's a small amount of marijuana, we're gonna write you a ticket, or we're gonna do this, and, you know, and they come from one city that says, yeah, you can have an ounce
Yeah.
for personal use, and they get to Rockwall and they go to jail for it. Well, we can have an ounce, no, you can't.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's, depends on where you're at and, and how you're trying to interpret that law, but, Rockwall's good and all. I mean, really on their prosecution, it's very good as far as prosecution compared to, some of the other cities. You know, by and large, Rockwall, we see, the majority of the stuff that we see are property crimes. Luckily, thankfully, you know, we still have our share of, you know, crimes against persons, but again, the majority of it seem to be property related.
Did the chief say something about a business, police academy?
The business owners?
Business owners academy?
Yeah,
Because
Sergeant
I've
Rattle,
gone
yeah.
through the regular
The details
academy.
on that?
Yeah, we're gonna do a citizens police academy as well as a business oriented one,
Okay.
sometime early next spring.
Okay.
So, we'll get that rolling. I think it'll be something educational.
Yeah.
A little more geared toward business.
Yeah, well, I went through, when we first moved here, the police academy here. Prior to that, I'd gone through the one in Plano, and it was really interesting to look and compare one against the other.
Yeah.
But I highly encourage any and everybody to get in. I mean, I think every law, or, politician needs to ride with a cop for at least a day or two. And that would change their attitude on.
Perspective too, you know, it's just see with your own eyes and experience it. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, the first time I rode with a cop, and he got out, he stopped someone, he got out to go around to them, and here I look around and I see, I'm in here by myself, he's out there, there's a shotgun that's locked that I can't get to.
Yeah.
So my only protection was a radio,
There you go.
and I felt extremely vulnerable, and I was safe in the car.
Yeah.
So I think it would, it ought to be required.
So I was interviewing this kid that, he was, I don't know, like 27, 28, but he had gone and it was at Texas A&M, and he had kind of wanted to go to college and then decided he was gonna go party a little bit and then wanted to go back, so, he became a police officer, and then that was in Bryan, Texas, and then that was his role while he was going to college, and then he continued on with it, but we were sitting there interviewing, and I said, so what do you think about making cold calls? He goes, every time I walk up to a car, I'm expecting to get shot. Do you think I give a damn about that cold call? And I just said, oh. And that put it in perspective, like you're saying, it's like every time you walk up, you're looking for someone going to shoot.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a different perspective, right?
We have such a diverse, agency too, a lot of us come from different agencies as well. It's just, it's amazing what we can bring to the table and share our experiences with everybody.
Yeah.
Obviously due to COVID, we'll see what happens in the spring, but hopefully we can start.
Right.
So, good. Absolutely. And I'll leave my card here for you guys if you want, has my email on my phone number.
Okay.
Yeah, that business class, or business school is actually pretty good. You'll get into more in depth on videos and things
Yeah.
like that. Again, stuff to look for, lighting, you know, parking lots, you know, just different things that really help you out, how, you know, make your business safer, make it a better place for your customers. And, that's one thing I didn't talk about in there, but like your business is making sure that, you know, it's open, adequate lighting, things like that. Business thieves are looking for the same thing that residential thieves are looking for, easy target. You know, if you've got it well lit, place floods and things like that, that's what it's gonna attract them. So businesses are really no different, just the volume of people, you're gonna have a lot of folks in your place that normally you wouldn't, things like that. Any other questions, anything we didn't cover?
What is I'm sorry, I'm a little bit late, what's the business name you're talking about here?
Well, that's the, academy.
Citizens
Academy.
And we're looking into doing like an actual business, citizens Academy.
Oh, so it's not a thing yet?
Not yet, okay, well, I'm looking to start hopefully in the early spring.
Sir, didn't we do one of those, we
Years
did
ago.
one of those a few years ago, several years ago.
Absolutely, so we probably have a template for it, so.
Yeah.
We'll just go off that, but, going back to what you were just saying, we also offer, it's called SEPTED, it's crime prevention through environmental design. Typically, when a business starts here, they'll confer with the police department to see if something is, they could do, like you said, the bushes, or anything, the lighting, they'll confer with that, and we actually do an assessment on your business.
Well, I know that, I'm sure they've got a lot more manpower. Plano actually would send an officer out to your home
Yep.
and give you a security check.
Yeah,
And that was kind of eye-opening when I had that done.
we have done that in the past as well, we still offer it up. But,
Okay. And don't y'all do, the window etching a couple times a year?
The VIN etching, yeah, we do that at least once a year, that's what the auto, Dallas is doing, that's what.
We did that through the, North Texas that's how we built, task force.
Right, okay.
We didn't do it this,
Yeah.
October, because COVID again, we'll look at doing it again in the spring, and we'll advertise it on Facebook and next door. When we do it, we do the home inspections.
Okay.
We did, because of the world, the way it's been the last year, we haven't been able to get that as much done as we'd like. What we've done in the factory is when we've had victims of home burglaries, then we'll follow with them and offer our home inspection. Again, we can do that. Takes about 30 minutes of all our time.
That's about all I got, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for having us out. Like I said, if you need anything, get a hold of Sergeant Brazel, or you can get a call. If you have questions about frauds, forgeries, anything, you can contact PD, ask for somebody at CID, Tiger or Page. Any of the executives really, but like I said, this is what we do. This is what we get working all the time.
So, Sean, are you gonna have this either on Facebook or the website?
Yeah.
I don't know who the person in charge of the downtown shoppers group, you might ping them. This is something great. If they could get all the shops downtown to review it, yeah.
All right. Hey, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.